down low so we can start the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Friday Nitro Review. I'm Geek. I'm joined, of course, by my cohort, my co-conspirator, and my co-host, the Drip King himself, the Wrestling With Your Thoughts heavyweight champion of the world, Jimmy, baby. Jimmy, how the hell you doing? How's wrestling treating you?
It treated me pretty good. I was on a low the last few weeks, but I feel like I've kicked myself out of it. And Nitro this week really kind of brought it out of me because there was a lot of exciting things on this week's. So I'm excited to talk about today's show.
Honestly, I love this week's Nitro. Not to get ahead of the game, but I thought it had a great open. It had a great finish. I mean, it had a ridiculous finish, but I love ridiculous. So goofy bollocks for life. All right. I thought this was a fantastic show, but we are here, ladies and gentlemen, to review WCW Monday Nitro from the 23rd of October, 1995. We are fast approaching the end of year one, technically. I mean, it's not really the end of year one because it didn't start till April or September, I believe. But still,
we're coming close to the end of 95.
Coming close to the end of 95. This show opens. This was a fast start this week. Yeah. This is probably the fastest start they've done since they started Nitro. We open with Bischoff, and he goes on about how we are 6 days away from Halloween Havoc, from machine versus machine and man versus man, which I know you're really excited for, Jimmy, because you've not watched this Halloween Havoc, I believe.
Nope.
So I have. I love this Halloween Havoc. It is ridiculous. It has the goofball of goofball endings. It has attempted murder with no repercussions whatsoever. I
would expect nothing less from WCW at this point.
It's amazing. That's the best way to put it. All right, but we got straight into the action this week, Jim, because our first match kicked off immediately between the Macho Man Randy Savage and Kurosawa. For those of you that don't remember Kurosawa was featured on the first couple of episodes of Nitro, beating guys like Pitbull, Brian Reese, and a couple of Sergeant Pittman and a couple of other random people. But one thing I didn't realize until I watched this match, Jim, is just how big Kurosawa actually is. Because Randy Savage is no small man.
No, he's not.
And stood next to this guy, he looked tiny.
He looked different. He didn't have the long, like his hair was longer and the beard wasn't something he had before, right?
His hair has grown a bit and the beard he's grown in, yes.
Yeah. He looked completely different, and I liked the look based on how this match went and how he was being presented, because they brought up multiple times that he breaks bones. Was it Hawk?
Yeah, he broke Road Warrior Hawk's arm.
Hawk's arm. They really zoned in on that, and also the fact that Macho was selling his elbow. That was really cool. They do a fantastic job, and I noticed it last week and maybe the week prior of how well they do on commentary of putting over things like that while the wrestler is selling the story in the ring. They did it with Eddie versus Benoit last week. That's what it was.
Yes, they did.
And just the collective there of how both sides of this art are coming together to tell the story. So in case you can't see it, you can hear it. And once you hear it, you can see it if you hadn't seen it before. It's really well done. And they made Kurosawa here look really good, even though he lost. Like, he looked like someone I wouldn't want to mess with. Almost like Ming did during the later years of WCW, where he lost a lot, but man, he looked like someone I don't want to mess with.
He was dominant as hell.
Yeah, he killed Macho Man in this match.
Yeah. This match got started really fast because it starts with Macho Man decking Colonel Parker immediately, and then Kurosawa just takes over for them pretty much the entire match.
Yeah,
right. Up until the very finish, which spoilers was just a clothesline to the back of the head and Randy hitting the flying elbow drop.
And Kurosawa missed the sliding baseball kick to the outside. That's what really started the turnaround.
That's starting the turnaround. Yeah. But this was different for a Randy Savage match because you don't usually see Randy on the back foot entirely all the way through these matches. And to see Randy completely on the back foot for a change was nice and refreshing, especially considering they appear to be building a guy who they're saying is now a legitimate threat in the company and so on and so forth. So I really enjoyed this match for what it was.
I want to bring up a comment you made last week about how Randy had the much easier match at Halloween Havoc. And I think the story that was told in this match kind of helped you understand that he might have the easier match, but he's also banged up. So even though he has the easier match, it's not going to be easier match for him because of what he's going to have to overcome to even get to Luger. So they've already not corrected. They've answered your question you had pretty much. Like, why does he have an easier match? This is why. I think that was really well done. Because I remember you questioning it, and now it's like, oh, there's the answer to it.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Nice spot. No, I agree with that. I thought it was brilliantly done. Also, to put Savage in this kind of jeopardy going into the match before Luger really helped tell the story of how they're on an even playing field now. As opposed to, because, Luger, spoilers, is in the main event. And Luger doesn't have the best time of it either, really, but we will get to that when the time comes. But I'd say this was a really fast-paced match. It then got really grindy in the middle with Kurosawa working over Randy's arm. As you say, it then flips towards the end where he misses the baseball slide drop kick. Savage slings him into the ring post, gets him back in the ring, hits a Northern Lariat from behind, hits his big diving elbow for the 1-2-3, and Savage is your winner. How'd you rate the match, Jim?
I really like the match because of what it set up for Macho Man going into Halloween Havoc. It made Kurosawa look like a legit threat. How far they take it from here, I would assume, because again, I'm pretty clueless on what happens all the way up until the NWO's debut. That's when I, as a kid, was tuning in for the first time and was like, okay, this is cool stuff, and was like really paying attention. But I'm assuming this is going to lead to Kurosawa being on the show a little bit more. I would think.
I would hope so.
As someone who kind of helps enhance other talent, that's what he comes across
as a builder
at this point. Yes,
he's a builder,
and looking strong doing so. That's what I'm going to assume is going to happen. But we'll see. I'm not 100% sure. I did like the match though, because it made Macho Man look vulnerable, and also come across as like I feel like the bigger babyface against Luger, because he's going to have to overcome more at this point.
Yes,
so
I agree. We then went to another reminder from Bischoff that we are 6 days away from Halloween Havoc.
The match itself was 8 minutes too, so that's out of the norm for a Nitro so far.
It is normally Nitro matches are about 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's been a few that were under 1.
Yeah, last week especially.
So.
But then we went to, like I say, another advert for Halloween Havoc. 6 days away. Then commentary cut to advertise the main event of Kev. And then my favorite part of the show happens.
This is interesting because it's my least
This was interesting because I'm going to ask you a simple question. For those of you that don't know, the Dungeon of Doom have a mystic leader outside of Kevin Sullivan, who is supposed to be, in kayfabe, Kevin Sullivan's father. Now, this man looks like a Mongol warrior who has been frozen in time, put a black robe on, and sits in a chair just shouting endlessly. Did you understand a word that he said, Jim?
It was so hard to follow him. It was bad. And
it's awful.
And just to clear up, I said I was very excited to talk about this week's show. It's because of the roller coaster this show was. Because we have a really good match to start the show, and then we have this insanely bad segment following it. Because I rewound it and watched it a second time to try and gather what he was saying. And all I got was it was about Hogan and Sullivan.
Yeah.
And that there's an iceberg there. And apparently the backup plan is in the iceberg.
Basically, the gist of it is that Kevin Sullivan has a plan.
Yeah.
And Kevin Sullivan has now ran this plan past his father. His father believes that Kevin Sullivan's hitman, the Giant, is not good enough to get the job done. So he has brought in an insurance policy.
Insurance policy, that's what it was, yes.
Of the Yeti.
Yeah. Did they say it was the Yeti?
Yes, they did.
Okay. I thought so, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Mongo blurted it. I don't know if they were meant to, but Mongo blurted it out. And then
he's an idiot, so he probably was not supposed to.
This is true. Mongo blurted it out, and then they just rolled with it and kept mentioning it a couple of times. But that's the general gist of this statement, is they have an insurance policy just in case the new evil Hulk Hogan can get past the Giant.
Yeah. No, this didn't hit for me. I was like, what What is this?
We then immediately cut to Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing the Taskmaster and the Giant.
Yeah.
Where the Giant does another Hulk Hogan impression.
Yeah.
The only way I can describe how Paul White talks at this point in his career is like an evil Hulk Hogan. He has the same vocal mannerisms. He has the same cadence in his speech. The same.
He talks a little slow.
Talking, what do you want, brother?
Yeah, he talks a little slow, and there's like some raspiness to it. I think it fits what he's doing. It works. Yeah, it definitely fits. Works. And of the Master, Kevin Sullivan, and the Giant that were involved in this 2-tiered segment, basically against Hulk Hogan, the Giant was the best promo.
Yeah.
Like it was simpler, but it was to the point. It was clear. And again, he's a menacing guy and he's speaking menacingly. So it's like, that works. That works. Just do that. Yeah. Don't do the other stuff.
No, don't do the other crap that you've been doing. It was too much.
And yeah.
Well, this promo was quite easy. Kevin Sullivan basically says how Hogan is evil now. He doesn't believe that he has an ounce of good left in his soul, but it's not going to be enough to beat the Giant. And then the Giant takes the microphone and states that he is the immortal one now. He is the immortal Giant, and he is going to kill Hulkamania forever. We then cut away from this straight to another Halloween Havoc promo.
Yeah.
Which watch it because they should be doing this 6 days out.
Yes.
This, and it's one thing I fault AEW for. Is that, and it's one thing I even fault WWE for, is they don't promote the pay-per-views enough.
Well, at this point, WWE doesn't need to.
No, admittedly, but AEW does.
AEW should be doing it a little bit more. Yes.
Yeah, because it's like Dynasty's coming up now, and other than it being on the top of the ramp in between the two entrance tunnels.
Yeah,
that's it.
As someone who doesn't I don't even really follow the show anymore or anything like that, I still feel like I would know when their next pay-per-view and stuff is because it should be heavily promoted, and I just don't feel like it's been heavily promoted. But that's
by the by.
That's what they do. So
yeah, that's by the by. Okay, where were we? Then we had a Slim Jim advert from Macho Man Randy Savage, the first of 3 Slim Jim adverts on this episode. Obviously, you've got to shill that sponsorship; it's necessary.
Yeah,
especially I loved the third one with the Romeo and Juliet kids at the play, which I thought was hilarious, just because it was hilarious. There's no other way to put it. We then cut to Mean Gene interviewing the star. I'm quoting here, the star of Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah. hey, do that. Promote the movie so that the movie people do the same in return.
TV show.
Okay, but do the same. Like, watch that show, and then that show is going to promote yours too. They'll probably have the commercials for Nitro or Saturday Night.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, so like that's how cross promotion stuff is supposed to work. So highlight the hell out of stuff like that. So,
but the star of Thunder in Paradise, still in black, still in the neck brace. Hulk Hogan, and now it's a black neck brace, people. So you know he's serious.
And we talked about I was talking about the roller coaster. I was up high on the opening match, and then I went down low because of the match. The Giant started to bring me up, and then Hulk Hogan got me to that peak again because this was awesome Hulk Hogan.
Well, I'm gonna paraphrase here, but as you can see, I got quite a lot of notes this week. I'm going to paraphrase this year. I believe Hulk Hogan uses the phrase, he fears no evil, he fears no darkness, and that everybody knows what a man in black gloves and a black do-rag can do. He calls Sting, Savage, and Luger cowards, says if they want to come after him, they can wait till he's finished with the Giant, and then he'll beat each and every one of them individually as well.
Yeah, brother.
Once they sort out their little problems. I thought this was brilliant. Oh, yeah. He also called them little dogs barking at the porch.
He was, at my notes, literally, I just put, he was going in on everyone.
Yeah.
And these are the best kinds of promos.
Oh, yeah. We've talked about this the last couple of weeks, but this really is the little bit of Hollywood Hulk Hogan before Hollywood Hulk Hogan. There is a lot of Hollywood in what he's doing with these promos and this character presentation. It's just a shame, spoiler Jim, come Halloween Havoc, it's all gone.
Well, if the idea wasn't to turn him heel, this stuff right here gave them the precursor that he can be a heel. Because this
Well,
is
it's the
great.
impetus.
It's so good the last 2 weeks. I'm praising Hulk Hogan, which never
Never
happens,
happens.
people. Never happens. Other than his Hollywood time, I loved what he was doing. But I don't like the guy. I've never really liked the guy. The Hulkamania stuff has always been crap. But these last 2 weeks is like, this is the Hulk Hogan I can ride with, because we know he's the man at this time and the business. He is the man, and he's acting like it. Like, and he's not doing it from like down with the people. He's putting himself on a pedestal and talking down to everyone. And it's like, yes, that's legit, because we know that's kind of how he feels about himself anyway. So we see the reality in it, in the character. And it's so damn good. I loved it. He's like, Macho Man Sting, like just going down the list. Like, get these fools, let them know you run this show, buddy. I loved it. It was awesome.
No, I thought it was fantastic.
Yes.
This is the best promo Hogan's cut since Nitro started.
Which is crazy, because last
the one
week
he cut
was
on
the
Luger
best
in
one.
episode, the one he cut on Luger in episode 1 was really good.
Yes. Last week's I thought was the best one until this week's. Yeah. So like, to be back to back like that is awesome. I can't believe I'm praising Hulk Hogan this much.
I know, it's really weird.
Terry Bollea sucks.
It's really weird. Terry, you're an arsehole. But Hulk, you're fantastic. We then went to another quick Halloween Havoc promo, because got to sell that pay-per-view.
Do it,
That's
baby.
The fourth one already. And then we have a WCW Saturday Night promo where the American males will be defending the tag team championships up against Harlem Heat, which is very surprising considering what happens at the end of the show.
But
we then go to match 2, which is Dean Malenko and Murder McMurderson versus the unfortunately not Das Wunderkind Alex Wright and Eddie Guerrero, because Alex Wright has torn his meniscus at this point and is unable to wrestle. Yes.
Okay. Because
it's a partial meniscus tear.
Okay, that was the question at the end of the match because of the involvement he had in it. But
it's a partial meniscus tear.
Okay.
Which could be anything from the size of a hair to the size of a 5-pence piece.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a serious tear. It can apparently apparently it can heal quite quickly. He needs a couple of weeks rehab and he should be back in the ring, because it was the 90s and nobody took these injuries seriously back then. Though I imagine it is one of the reasons that his knees went out when he ended up changing to the Berlin character in the early 2000s. Because if you notice, Alex Wright changes from being a high-flying happy boy to a very ground-based worker later on in his career, and that's because of his knees.
I think that has to do with his character, though, too.
It's also because of his knees.
Okay, but he might have changed the character because he couldn't work that way anymore. I guess that could be the thing.
That's
the limitation in the ring probably changed the character.
Right, but Eddie and Benoit start this match, and they start hot.
Yeah.
As to be expected. Like, just
of course.
Boom, 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 back and forth, arm drags, short arm scissors, one belly to back suplex, one German, one. It just goes bang, 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 bang. We then, partway through the action, after Eddie tags in the replacement for Alex Wright, who is Mr. JL, the future Jerry Lynn, creative genius is there at WCW. Even Bischoff turns around. Bischoff turns around at one point and goes, "What the hell? JL, what the hell does that even stand for?" It's like, well, you named him, Eric. Anybody should know it's you.
Jumpy Luchador. Mr. Jumpy Luchador.
I've just put down here what chemistry these 4 guys have. Because it's
so good.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I wasn't sure how much chemistry Jerry would have with Benoit and Malenko, but it's there.
Yeah. I feel like Jerry Lynn had chemistry with everybody.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Like, he's just one of those guys. He's very undervalued by fans.
Yes, I completely agree. Well, he's my favorite ECW wrestler of all time.
That's high praise. That's
Yes.
high praise.
Yeah, he is. He had better matches with Just Incredible than anybody else, better matches with Rob Van Dam than anyone else, better matches with Lance Storm than anybody else, better matches with Tommy Dreamer than anybody else, better matches with Chris Chetty than anybody else. Literally, you go down the list and Jerry Lynn had a banger with every single one of them. There's a real sleeper hit from ECW Saturday Night TV in 1999 where he wrestled Shane Douglas just after Shane got out of the arm cast. And it's the best match Shane had in about 10 years. If you ever get the chance, go and watch it. ECW Hardcore TV. I'll find the date. I'll send you the ping.
I need to find
but anyway,
in general, but
back to
the match.
We then cut to Scott Norton and the Shark beating the snot out of each other in the locker room.
I want to bring this up real quick because they did this before, and I think it was week 4 during an Eddie match. I think it was Eddie and Malenko. Was that who it was?
Yes, it was. Yes,
and they cut to a backstage segment during their match, and that's annoying because what are we doing, man?
This is the best match on the card.
Yes, and it's taking away the highlight. It's taking away time from the guys who are literally going to be part of the reason your show gets carried over the next few years.
Not part of the reason, the main reason outside of the
NWO is the main reason. We're not going to have that conversation, man. But as far as the in-ring product goes, the cruiserweights were carrying it. It was NWO cruiserweights. And it's like, if this is what you're trying to push on people and you're bringing up the cruiserweight division that you're about to start, and also why would you break in the middle of that to show off this thing between the Shark and Scott Norton? And I'm a Scott Norton guy. I love him. But this is dumb. It was dumb. So like I'm on that roller coaster, and now this kind of started to bring me down, which is unfortunate because it's a match that has Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Jerry Lynn, and Dean Malenko. That's insane to think I'm coming down from a roller coaster ride during one of their matches. And thankfully, after that crap went off, they were able to bring me back up down the roller coaster.
Yeah, thank God.
Like a short dip.
Because, newsflash, they do not refer to this fight for the rest of the episode. It's literally a minute and a half cut and then nothing.
It wasn't even Hulk Hogan and the Giant. It wasn't
even a set. It wasn't even a setup for next week.
It was just and Scott Norton, people.
Scott Norton, who's had one match on Nitro. One match. Most people still don't even know who he is at this point. He's just some flash from Japan. He did. He lost to Randy Savage. I think he lost to Randy Savage anyway.
I think he attacked him. Anyway, go on with the match. Because, that annoyed me.
Benoit and Malenko continue to work over Mr. JL for a good majority of this match. Abdominal stretch, arm breaker, German suplex. There's a really, really nice bit of tag action early on when Benoit hits an arm drag on, I think it's Eddie. On Eddie, and then he goes to monkey toss Malenko onto Eddie, but Eddie rolls to the outside. Malenko seamlessly flips, lands on his feet, and then does a suicide dive to the outside. It's really well done. The timing on it was incredible. Just to see that kind of wrestling in this point in the 90s, outside of the ECW product, it's fantastic. It really is.
I'm going to be singing Malenko's praise a lot during this run of Nitro, because Malenko was the man. Stinko Malenko, man.
They get the majority of the match is working over JL. They then got the hot tag to Eddie. Eddie hits some drop kicks, hits some baseball slides, hits his for some reason tags Jerry Lynn back in, but hits his double arm drag head scissor combo, which I always loved because he does it so smoothly. It's fantastic. Basically, then after a short time, Alex trips Malenko
with the crutch.
Which enables Mr. JL to go up for the victory roll and roll him up 1, 2, 3.
And they
are your winners, Eddie Guerrero and Mr. JL.
You brought up like you don't know why they tagged him in, and I thought it was a really good idea to tag him in and let Mr. JL get the victory, because at this point, Eddie Guerrero he didn't become the name he became, but at that point in time, he was still pretty well known. He was established. Yes. I think Eddie was established, Malenko was established, and Benoit was brought up as a big deal, so he's pretty much established. Mr. JL was kind of a mystery. Like
Agreed.
it was like he came out of nowhere. Like this, he was never Mr. JL anywhere else, correct?
No.
So to give him a win in this area is a good thing because it says, okay, we're going to give him a spotlight to kind of elevate him a little bit. Again, this is something AEW did at first. They did a really good job of letting people get those kinds of shine in these moments when they didn't need
Private Party versus the Young Bucks episode 1 of Nitro.
Yeah, so like it was a good. I think it was a great idea to have him get the victory here, to have him pick up the win, especially.
I completely agree. It's just at the time I was like, why on earth would you tag him in? He's just had the snot beaten out of him for the past 10 minutes. And
I mean, that's tag team wrestling, though, man. Yeah, I say that all the time. I'm like, yo, that dude just got his butt whipped for 10 minutes. You've been in there for 1, and now you're tagging him back in. That's dumb. But that's usually the end of the match. So
one of my favorite parts of the entire show, while Brian Pillman appeared, appears, DDT's Eddie Guerrero on the floor, throws up the 4 horsemen, and leaves.
And then, I was like, what's going on here?
That's it. Well, my assumption was at first, because as you know, in the 90s had several iterations of the 4 horsemen.
Yes.
Now, we know that eventually the 4 horsemen consists of Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, Dean Malenko, and Chris Benoit.
Yes.
But that is not
Malenko?
19... Yeah. That is
I do not remember Malenko.
Yeah, that is 1998, 1999. Yes. 1998, 1999, because if you go to Spring Stampede or Uncensored 1999, I think it's Spring Stampede, there is a tag match between Raven and Perry Saturn and the 4 Horsemen, consisting of Dean Malenko and Chris Benoit.
Again, I remember Benoit because he was part of the War Games and everything, but
Benoit was in the Horsemen twice.
Okay. Man, Benoit
was in the 2 iterations.
That's crazy. I'm looking it up, but you can continue. But yeah, the Prime Pillman thing was crazy. I was like, what the? Why did you do that?
It just comes out of nowhere. DDT's Eddie on the floor, throws up the 4 horsemen, and then just leaves. Happy as Larry with himself. Just absolutely ecstatic that he's completely destroyed somebody for no reason whatsoever. Hopefully this will lead to a Brian Pillman versus Eddie Guerrero match down the line, which I am thoroughly excited for.
For sure. That was my first thought. Like, yes,
Eddie's amazing.
Match. Yeah.
Brian's amazing. So, yes, please. And the more chances I get to see Brian Pillman wrestle before the tragedy of 1999, I will be a happy, happy boy.
Yeah.
After this, we moved very quickly on to the main event.
Wait, I want to throw in.
After Halloween Havoc promo.
Oh, but they came back from a commercial and they took a shot at WWF.
And, did they? I missed that.
Yes, and because they were like they were talking about the In Your House show that had happened the night before, and then Mongo, with the line of his life, said, "In your house, more like WWF in your outhouse. Who watches that crap?" And I'm like, okay, he can stay another week because that was gold.
That's fine. Mongo, you just earned your stripes for another 48 hours.
That was a good one. I wanted to make sure we got that in there. I was like, I finally caught one of these references.
I think I missed that on my
that was the
copy that I got.
It was right before the main event match.
Well, and I got to enjoy the main event, I think, a little bit more than you, Jim. Because I didn't watch it on Peacock. I have my own sources for WCW Nitro these days. And the sources I watch are still in 16.9 VHS vision.
Oh, so you got to see this.
Which means
retro.
I get all the blood, I get all the retro, and I get the Man Called Sting without the horrible remix on Peacock.
The horrible what?
The horrible remix and replacement for Sting's entrance music.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was about to say, wait, what?
I get the original Man Called Sting for Luger and Sting's entrance, which is a phenomenal tune. And you get that awful horribleness that is on Peacock and used to be on the network.
Yeah, well, Sting's horrible anyway, so.
You know that ain't true. But anyway, so yes, we go to our main event, which is Harlem Heat, Booker T and Stevie Ray being accompanied by Sister Sherry in their wonderful early 90s very weird BDSM with rings in gear.
Hey, that shit was
No,
awesome.
it is.
It's
No, it's awesome, but it's really weird.
Harlem Heat
And
is awesome.
Sting wearing red and yellow.
Yes. And they mentioned it on
Which
commentary too.
Point out at least 3 times.
Yes.
He's even growing a mustache. If you look at this carefully. Yes, Sting has grown a mustache because this is just before Sting gets. This is just before Sting gets his beard and starts to grow his hair out.
Okay.
Right, because Sting's hair by Halloween Havoc '96, as you know, is the AJ Styles cut. Right? And this is just before Sting stops dyeing his hair and starts to grow it out because of the initial plans to have him as the third man.
I don't know.
Well,
I'm against that theory.
The apparent plans that Sting was going to be
if you're clueless as to what I'm talking about, watch last week's episode.
Exactly.
I don't believe that crap anymore.
You want a history lesson? You got to go watch the rest of the shows. That's just how it is. Basically, so this is good. Sting with some early fire, elbows, back punches, so on and so forth. Usual Sting affair. He then gets the tag to Lex, and Lex proceeds to sell like Lex has never sold before for about the next 6 minutes.
So he must have really liked Harlem Heat.
He was a big fan of Booker and Stevie, as far
which
as
is great because, again, Harlem Heat is awesome. I'm going to sing their praises every time I see them on the show. They continuously get left off the greatest tag teams of all time list, and I'm sick of it because they were awesome. But we can continue on the match.
Are a top 3 tag team in the history of tag team wrestling.
Thank you.
Easily. Yes, Stevie Ray sucks. Right? We understand that Booker T could have literally found a stuffed animal, stuck him on the ring apron, and that stuffed animal could have done what Stevie did for most of his career. But at this point, Stevie Ray is still good.
I think Stevie Ray worked well enough.
He's the heavy heater for the team.
Yes. Right? Hey, Kevin Nash sucked with Scott Hall, but it worked.
But it worked.
Yes.
Jim the Anvil Neidhart sucked with Bret Hart, but it worked. It's the Porsche and the tank.
Rick Steiner sucked.
Yeah, it's the Porsche. But they weren't the Porsche and the tank. That was just 2 army trucks. This is the Porsche and the tank. It's the worker and the heater. Yeah. This is how these tag teams are assembled. But they proceed to work over Lex for about 6 minutes. Lex even does the whole "I'm going out" spot.
Yeah.
He eventually comes back, gets the hot tag to Sting. Sting hits a missile drop kick off the top rope. This match is a lot quicker than the other matches on the night. This is probably short, isn't it? I thought this was the shortest match of the night.
These guys hit their times perfectly tonight because the first match was 8 minutes exactly. The second match was 10 minutes exactly. And this match was 8 minutes exactly.
Oh, well, it is shorter than the Benoit match anyway.
It was the same as the first one, though. So it's like, it seems short, but again, I think I was enjoying it. So time just kind of flew by with it.
It did with me as well. Yeah. But basically, so they get through working over Luger. Booker T hits the axe kick, which is the first time we've seen Booker use the axe kick on Nitro, which was nice. He's not quite got it down yet, and he's not doing the spin to get up because he hasn't hit his singles run. He hits the axe kick, goes up. Stevie plants him with the slapjack, which, by the way, is the pedigree. He was doing it before Triple H.
But doesn't he lift him up and do it?
He lifts and drops down as opposed to doing the jump. Yeah. But it's the pedigree, and Stevie Ray invented that move, not Triple H. And this match is living proof of that because Triple H, who has just left WCW under the disguise of Terror Rising, he's either still under contract as Terror Rising, or he's just left, or he was John Paul Lafitte.
I think one of his WCW gimmicks. I think he had made the Trump at this point.
Yeah, but at this point, Stevie had been using the slapjack for about 8 years. Triple H had not yet used the pedigree. So all those people that think Triple H invented the pedigree, you are wrong. It was Stevie Ray.
Wow.
Yes. He hits him with the slapjack. Booker T goes up for the Harlem Hangover, but misses. Lex then gets the hot tag to Sting. Sting comes in, babyface fire, punches, kicks, elbows, Usual Sting affair, absolutely fantastically done. His timing is amazing. Stinger splashes all over the place. Lex then comes back in the ring to make the save. Stevie, Booker T, and Lex get distracted. They end up working. Sorry, Booker T and Stevie get distracted. They end up working over Lex, hitting with a double suplex. And while Stevie is busy stomping on Lex in the corner, Sting hits a big flying clothesline onto Booker T, rolls him up. 1, 2, 3. They are your winners, Sting and Lex Luger.
Boo. I will say this about Sting, because I just did crap on him a minute ago. I will say, as a babyface, his hot tag and fire is next level. It's so amazing. Good. It is so good.
It's amazing. And he doesn't have to do any of that running up and down the ring apron crap to get people hyped up beforehand either.
He's really good at it.
Sting is the best babyface in the history of babyface, as far as WCW goes. Name one better. In WCW, you name me a babyface that was a better pure babyface than Sting.
Surfer Sting. Dallas Page.
Not than Surfer Sting. Page wasn't a pure babyface. He started.
How is he not a pure babyface?
Because he started as a heel, Jim.
You're talking about someone who is only a babyface, but that's not true, because Sting was a heel when he joined NWO and towards the end of WCW.
No, he wasn't a heel.
He became a heel in WCW.
The Wolfpack.
After the
never
Wolfpack.
A heel. The Wolfpack were good guys. And Russo tried to turn him heel for exactly 17 days. It didn't work. And then he was a babyface again. So in Sting's entire career, he spent 17 days as a heel.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't even count.
That's an unfair thing to be name, because who stays one side of the fence for
Rey
that
Mysterio.
long? Okay. Well,
you could have said Rey Mysterio.
No, because in WCW he wasn't like that big of a deal.
He was cruiserweight division.
He was in the cruiserweight division, but across the entire thing, Diamond Dallas Page was like the biggest babyface at one point.
He was the people's champ. I'll give you that. But he
was the biggest babyface. We're getting off track. We'll get to this when DDP makes his ascension.
When he gets to the top, buddy. When he stops defending the TV title in dark matches.
Fuck yeah, he did again this week.
Yes, I know.
Against Cobra.
Sting hits the big flying clothesline, gets the 1, 2, 3. After this, the Taskmaster.
One more thing I wanted to bring up about Sting. He didn't come out with the United States title.
No.
That's weird to me.
Isn't it just? They announced him as the United States Heavyweight Champion, but he never comes out with the belt unless he's defending it.
That's weird to me. But
it's really strange. It's very, very odd, but that is what WCW do at this point, because as far as they're concerned, the storyline he's in is bigger than the division of the title that he's defending. So why lower the storyline by bringing the belt in? It makes no sense.
Take it off.
We then have a cut to, well, not a cut, it's straight away. The Giant and the Taskmaster run down. They throw Sting outside the ring for 2 seconds, chokeslam Lex Luger. Sting gets back in the ring. Sting gets chokeslammed.
Finally.
And then finally gets chokeslammed. It's been about a month and a half, and
now Macho Man can breathe. Like, I guess he's not bored of it.
Maybe I was wrong, Stu. You're not evil.
Then Macho Man jumps in. Hulk Hogan runs down. Then Macho Man's like, "Here he is," and he leaves. It's like, yeah, that's right. You take care of the big guy.
I just got paid for nothing. He comes down. Hogan starts laying in punches. They have no effect on the Giant. The Giant then grabs him at headlock, does a big hammer to his back. Hogan hulks up. Randy on the outside is going, yeah, that's right. He's hulking up, baby.
Yeah, no.
He then hits a few more punches to the Giant, waffles him headfirst into the top turnbuckle. Just as Hogan starts to get the upper hand, the rest of the Dungeon of Doom run down. And then it's a big pull apart.
And then Sting and...
Also, did you notice during this segment that Kevin Sullivan's father was still sat up on his chair?
I didn't see it.
He was still sat up there laughing like a madman with no microphone, but they kept occasionally cutting towards him, just going...
They did not show this.
They did on the one I got. So... we then cut to Bischoff talking about how the whole arena is shaking. The ground is shaking. What's going on?
I just saw this comment. I had to put it up.
That's my brother. So...
I just saw it. I had to throw it.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
But this was an awesome ending. Like, because again, I love chaos, especially when it's done right. And this is the go home show. You have all these big names in there fighting, and it's posts the war games from last month where these guys were all fighting each other. So they're still fighting each other. The evil is still not ready to give up because the giant was able to come in and kind of, even though you guys won the war, the battle's not over because now we have the giant. And now the giant is here. And so it's just a continuation of last month's pay-per-view going into this month's pay-per-view. The chaos to go home on. It's all wonderful. I will say, though, I was like, okay, we're going out on a high. And then they went to that stupid iceberg and it started cracking and glowing. And then they cut off. And I'm like, that's not stupid that they cut off. Stupid because I know what's coming out of that thing.
Yeah.
And that's gobbledygooker level stupid.
Oh, it is. It is basically, for those of you that don't know, it is the Yeti that breaks out of the ice, or the Yeti to us non-Americans. No offense, Jim. Basically, this is a man known as Kyle Reese. Now, Kyle Reese is a 7-foot-tall man who is later famous for being in The Flock with Raven as just Reese. Now,
okay, that's who that is.
Yeah, it's Kyle Reese. Okay. Now, Kyle Reese was also Super Ninja shortly after this. It's very... That man had an up and down career of where he was just playing people under masks until Raven went, I could do something with him. And then he got flattened by Goldberg in a minute and a half, and we never saw Reese again. But at this point, he was the Yeti.
He was Ron Studd at one point, too.
Yes. At this point, he was the Yeti, which is a man who is totally mummified for some strange and unknown reason, and covered in bandages, who will proceed. Well, actually, I'm not going to hit you with a spoiler because that's a spoiler for the pay-per-view, Jim. So I won't say a word.
Let's leave it at that. Then.
But this Nitro literally ends with a shot, if you manage to watch the whole thing, of the iceberg cracking and the Yeti breaking out, going, and that's it. And that was so dumb. Yeah. It's so dumb. But that was it. That was WCW Monday Nitro on the 23rd of October, 1995. Jim, how'd you rate it?
A B, because there was a lot, even though there was moments where I did not like, the moments that were really, really well overshadowed them significantly. And it was a fun ride. It's not like it was a roller coaster where I'm like, I'm ready to get off. The opening match was great. The closing segment was great right up until that last 2 seconds. So I'm not going to, disqualify the ending chaos just because of 2 seconds. That would be silly. The matches were all good. They all had more time to breathe than normal. I hope this is the norm going forward because 8 minutes that's a good amount, especially if you're having 3 matches. You should be able to have that many. Be able to have that length of a match.
That is a good length. That is a good length for a TV
match for sure. So I'm starting to see that they're getting better at kind of building up people on a week-to-week basis. It's just a matter of, are they going to use them on a week-to-week basis? That's what I'm waiting to see. No Ric Flair this week was weird because, again, he has a big match at Halloween Havoc, but
which is really
we're not watching Saturday night, and I'm assuming that they're doing stuff on Saturday night that helps promote
you would
the
think
show
so.
As well. Yeah, because it is the number 1 show for WCW at the time. So
you would think so.
I would think so.
Also, no advert for next week's Nitro. This week.
Would you like to know what we're getting into, or would you?
I believe Sabu is on next week's show again.
Let me go find it real quick. Yes,
in the meantime,
it is. Wait, no. Scott Norton versus the Shark is next week.
Oh, okay.
Eddie Guerrero versus Sergeant Craig Pittman. Yikes!
Poor Eddie.
Sabu versus Disco Inferno.
Yes.
And then Lex Luger and Ming versus the Taskmaster. Lex Luger and Ming and the Taskmaster. No, the Taskmaster's he's the manager. That's fine. Doing that. Lex Luger and Ming take on the American Males.
That's an interesting choice.
That's a very interesting post Nitro coming out of Halloween Havoc.
Well, it also means that at this point, Lex Luger has joined the Dungeon of Doom.
Does he? We're about to find out, am I? Okay. But I'm excited I'm going to watch Halloween Havoc before I watch this show. So I have a busy week of WCW, which is fun. The card I'm looking at, Johnny B. Bad versus DDP for the television title. Randy Savage taking on, apparently it won't be
Kamala.
It's not. It ends up being the Zodiac.
Yeah. Which,
Kurosawa,
by the way, if you did not know, is one of Ed Leslie's multiple gimmicks. The former Brutus the Bob Beefcake, the former Hollywood Hunk.
Yeah. It's his coolest looking one.
Yeah.
Kurosawa takes on Road Warrior Hawk, which is good.
No. His coolest looking gimmick is the Disciple when he has a beard.
No, that's stupid.
Because he looks good in the beard.
But the Kurosawa versus Hawk is a good one because they talked about him facing Animal or when he broke Animal. Indeed. So he's facing Hawk. So that makes sense that they would do that.
No. He broke Hawk's arm in Japan.
I thought it was Animal. Oh, okay. That's right.
He broke Hawk's arm in Japan.
Bringing up the history of it before the match is also that's good. Thank you.
It is.
That's
very good.
Important. Sabu taking on Mr. JL. I'm excited for that one.
Yes, that's going to be good.
Lex taking on Ming. And then Sting and Flair taking on Brian Pillman and Arn Anderson. Hulk Hogan and the Giant twice, one in a monster truck match and then one in a real match. And then obviously we knew Randy Savage and Lex Luger were winning, so we're going to get them facing each other as well. That's a jam-packed one. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the nonsense of this whole thing. So, yeah.
Oh, it's going to be ridiculous. But it's going to be brilliant ridiculous because Halloween Havoc always was.
Yeah.
But
my favorite pay-per-view is again.
Yeah, it's brilliant. If you enjoy what we do here at the Friday Night Review, if you enjoy the content we put out, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Spotify,
rate us.
You need to do to help rate us, do everything you need to do to help the channel grow. It's free. It really helps us out, and it's the only way the algorithms really know that we exist. But in the meantime, I've been Nick the Geek. He has been Jimmy Bebe. And remember, we are but two geeks obsessed with a good show, and our opinion means nothing without yours in the comments below. See you next week.
Toodles.